My child, stop what you're doing and listen, because I am speaking to you now. You felt the pull in your spirit, the restlessness in your soul, the quiet ache that refuses to fade. That is me. This is not coincidence. It is a divine interruption. God is reaching out. Don't hang up. You stand at a moment that matters, a moment where heaven leans close and eternity waits for your answer. I am calling, not to condemn you, but to awaken you. Don't let this message pass like noise in the wind. Hear me, for what I am about to say can change the course of your life forever. My beloved child, do you hear it? That gentle stirring in the quiet places of your soul, that faint pull you sometimes ignore, that ache you cannot quite name, that is me calling. I have been calling you since before you took your first breath, long before you knew how to form my name on your lips. Every beat of your heart is an echo of my invitation. When the wind brushes against your face, when the night feels long and still, when tears slip down your cheeks for reasons you cannot explain, those are not random moments. They are my call reaching through the noise, breaking through the distance you feel between us. I have never stopped reaching for you. Even in your darkest seasons, even when you turned your face away, I have never hung up. My line to you has always been open, and my heart has never ceased to call your name. You think you found me when you finally turned toward me, but child, I was the one who found you. I was the one who placed that longing within you to search, that hunger within you to know. Every unanswered question that pressed against your chest was a thread I wove, pulling you closer. I've whispered through sleepless nights and shouted through storms, not to frighten you, but to awaken you. You may have thought I was silent, but I was calling in ways your ears did not yet understand. When you felt the weight of conviction, that was not condemnation, it was my call of mercy. When you felt unworthy to pray, that was still me reaching, saying, "Pick up, child. I'm here." I know how many voices compete for your attention. The world calls you by what you do. Fear calls you by what you failed. But I call you by who you are, mine. You were not created to live disconnected from your Maker. You were not designed to move through your days numb and distracted. You were meant to walk in step with me, moment by moment, breath by breath. The tug you feel when you quiet yourself long enough, that's me. You sense it, don't you? That warmth that rises in your chest when you worship, when you forgive, when you let go, that's the vibration of my spirit ringing through your soul. And I want you to know this, I will never stop calling. Even when you wander into places that numb your heart, even when you fill your life with noise to drown me out, I will still be there, calling. Because love does not hang up. Love waits. Love persists. Love keeps the line open, no matter how long the silence lasts. So, child, lift your heart. Pause for just a moment. Can you hear it now? That steady, patient ringing deep inside. That is me, your God, your Father, your Savior, calling you home. You keep wondering why you can't hear me clearly, why my voice seems so faint. But, beloved, it is not that I have stopped speaking. It is that the world has turned up its volume around you. The constant noise, the endless stream of opinions, fears, screens, and schedules fills the air of your soul until my whisper struggles to break through. I am not distant. I am present in every moment, but your heart has been tuned to frequencies that drown me out. You reach for your phone before you reach for peace. You run toward distraction before you run to prayer. And when the day grows quiet, the silence feels heavy because you've forgotten that silence is where I dwell. I long to speak to you not in the thunder or the chaos, but in the still small voice, the one that can only be heard when you stop running long enough to listen. You see, I designed your spirit to thrive in quiet, to draw strength from the calm waters of my presence. But the world has taught you to chase motion, to fill every gap with noise so you won't have to face what your soul is truly feeling. The noise promises comfort but delivers emptiness. It tells you that busyness is purpose, that constant connection is life, but it leaves you weary, anxious, and numb. Every time you drown yourself in the rush of doing, you silence the sacred rhythm of being, the heartbeat that beats in time with mine. And yet, I am still calling softly, steadily through the noise. Every now and then, you catch a moment, a fleeting sense of peace, a wave of conviction, a sudden stillness that feels like grace. That is me breaking through the static, reminding you that my presence has never left. So I ask you, my child, will you make room for me again? Not by trying harder, but by quieting down. Turn off the voices that demand your attention and listen for the one that brings you rest. Step outside, breathe deep, and let creation remind you of its creator. Feel the air move, that is my spirit brushing past you. Watch the sunrise, that is my faithfulness unfolding again. I am not lost in the noise, you are. But I know the way back to silence, and I will guide you there if you will just pause and let me lead. The moment you quiet your heart, even for a breath, you will sense it, that soft pulse of peace rising within you. That is the sound of our connection being restored. For I have never stopped speaking, child. The noise only made you forget how to listen. You have missed my calls more times than you realize, not because you were careless, but because grace often comes disguised in ways you don't expect. You think my call would come wrapped in light, in clarity, in certainty. But more often, it comes in interruptions, in delays, in gentle nudges that go unnoticed. How many times have I stirred your heart to pause before you spoke in anger, to forgive when you wanted revenge, to pray when fear grew loud? Those were my calls, and sometimes you missed them. But listen, I do not condemn you for it. I am not keeping a record of ignored invitations. My love does not withdraw when you press decline. Every missed call of grace becomes another opportunity for me to dial again. I never stop reaching, because I am not seeking your perfection. I am seeking your presence. There have been moments when your soul felt something shift, a conviction, a longing, a tear that surprised you. That was me. I call not only through blessings, but through brokenness. When a door closed that you desperately wanted open, that was not punishment, it was protection. When a relationship ended, when plans unraveled, when life felt unfair, that too was grace calling in disguise. You may have thought I was silent then, but I was speaking in a different language, one written in detours and delays. Each missed call was a lesson wrapped in love, drawing you closer to trust. And even now, as you read these words, I am calling again, not from afar, but from within you. You see, grace is not a single call. It's a lifelong conversation. Every sunrise is me saying, try again. Every breath is me whispering, you're still mine. Even your mistakes cannot silence my pursuit. The moment you turn your heart toward me, even after seasons of silence, I answer immediately, as though you never missed a call at all. That's how relentless my mercy is. So don't carry the shame of unanswered invitations. Instead, recognize the beauty of this truth. My calls have never stopped, and neither has my love. Right now, this very moment, grace is ringing again. Will you answer? And yet, I know how it feels when the line seems to go quiet, when you reach for me and all you hear is silence. You pray, but the heavens don't respond. You worship, but your heart feels empty. You wait, and it seems like I've hung up. But I haven't, beloved. The silence is not my absence. It is my sacred pause. It is the space where faith learns to breathe and trust grows deeper roots. I am not ignoring you. I am working beneath the surface, speaking in a language that only time and surrender can translate. Sometimes I step back, not to abandon you, but to draw you further in, to teach you to listen for me beyond emotion, beyond feeling, beyond the noise of your need. Silence is where I test your trust. When you cannot feel me, will you still believe I am near? When I withhold the answer you crave, will you still believe I am good? These are not punishments but invitations, deeper, quieter calls that require a still heart to hear. My child, do not mistake delay for denial. When I am silent, I am often preparing something far greater than you asked for. You pray for relief, but I am shaping endurance. You ask for clarity, but I am building faith. You seek open doors, but I am constructing a foundation that can carry the weight of your future blessings. In those silent seasons, I am closer than you think. I walk beside you unseen. I hold your tears like treasure, and I listen even when words fail you. Silence is not a sign of disconnection. It is a sacred conversation without words. Even my son, in his deepest agony, cried out and heard no reply, and yet the silence of that moment became the loudest declaration of love the world has ever known. So, if the line feels quiet right now, hold fast. I am still on the other end. The silence is not an ending. It is a sacred stillness before something beautiful breaks forth. Keep your heart open, for soon the quiet will shift, and you will hear it, my voice, soft yet strong, breaking through once more, saying, I never left. I was here all along. You live surrounded by voices, loud, persuasive, constant, each one fighting for a piece of your heart. The world shouts its opinions, your fears whisper their doubts, and your memories echo their pain. Yet my voice still calls, not in competition, but in calm authority. You ask, how can I tell when it's you? Listen, my child. My voice will never lead you into fear, confusion, or condemnation. I do not accuse, I affirm. I do not shame, I shape. When you hear a voice that speaks peace into your storm, that lifts your chin instead of lowering your head, that reminds you of who you are and not what you failed to be, that's me. My voice carries the fragrance of truth and the warmth of love. It may challenge you, yes, but it will never crush you. It corrects only to restore, never to destroy. So many times you've mistaken other voices for mine. Voices of guilt disguised as conscience. Voices of religion that burdened instead of freed you. Voices of your own fear echoing back at you in my name. But I am not the harsh critic in your mind. I am the gentle strength in your chest, the quiet conviction that says, come back home. My sheep know my voice because when they hear it, their souls rest. My spirit within you recognizes me even when your mind is unsure. Sometimes you won't hear me in words but in peace, that sudden calm that settles after confusion, that stillness that replaces the panic. That's how I speak, softly yet unmistakably, with authority that doesn't demand but draws you in. To know my voice, you must dwell near me. Proximity breeds recognition. The more time you spend in my presence, in prayer, in scripture, in stillness, the more your spirit will learn the tone of my whisper. You'll begin to notice when a thought doesn't carry my character, when it stirs anxiety instead of assurance. That discernment is my gift to you. The closer you walk with me, the harder it becomes to mistake another's voice for mine. And when the world grows loud again, remember this. My voice never competes, it waits. It doesn't shout above the chaos. It speaks beneath it. So, still yourself and listen. Among the chorus of voices demanding your attention, mine will be the one that brings peace, the voice that says, "You are mine, and I am here." Sometimes I must interrupt your life to save it. You call it disappointment, disruption, or delaying, but I call it mercy. When your plans crumble, when the path you built suddenly breaks apart beneath your feet, that is not me punishing you. It is me protecting you. I see the roads that lead to ruin before you even take the first step. I see the doors that gleam with promise but hide pain on the other side. So when I close them, I am not withholding your destiny. I am preserving it. You may not understand in the moment, but every divine interruption is a rescue in disguise. You cry because you think I have taken something from you, but in truth, I am giving you something greater, alignment with my perfect will. There are times when I will shake your comfort to awaken your calling. You ask me for peace, and I allow a storm, not because I delight in your discomfort, but because storms reveal what calm never could. They strip away what was never meant to stay and expose what truly anchors you. When everything feels uncertain, look again. I am in the interruption. I am teaching you that love is not always gentle. Sometimes it must be fierce. Sometimes love must tear down the walls that confine you so you can step into the freedom you were meant to live in. Every divine disruption is a conversation, my way of saying, "Child, where you are heading cannot hold what I've prepared for you." So, do not fear when your plans fall apart. Do not despair when what you prayed for does not come to pass. My love is not absent in those moments. It is active, rearranging what must shift to bring forth what must live. If you could see the fullness of what I see, the future woven in mercy, the outcomes built on grace, you would thank me for every no, as much as you celebrate every yes. So when I interrupt, pause and listen. I am not ruining your story. I am writing it with my hands of redemption. You may not understand now, but one day, you'll look back and see that every divine interruption was a chapter of love disguised as loss. You wonder, how many times will you call me Lord? How many times will you reach when I keep turning away? And my answer, beloved, is this: as many times as it takes. I am not a God of limited chances. I am the God of relentless pursuit. Every time you wander, I redial. Every time you sin, I redial. Every time you give up on yourself, I call again. My love is not fragile. It does not give up when you fail. You cannot exhaust my mercy, for it flows from eternity itself. My patience is not measured in minutes but in mercy, endless, enduring, ever renewing. I will keep calling until your heart finally understands that you were never too far to be found. When you fall into the same mistake again and again, you assume I've grown weary. But child, I am not like man. I do not turn away in frustration, I draw nearer in compassion. My discipline is not distance, it is direction. Even when I allow you to face the weight of your choices, I stand beside you in the aftermath, whispering, "Let's start again." The call of my grace is never revoked. When you finally pick up again after seasons of silence, I do not greet you with shame. I greet you with joy, like a father whose child has come home. I don't mention how long you've been gone. I celebrate that you're here now. So, never let guilt convince you the line has been disconnected. Even in your rebellion, my call still rings. Even in your apathy, my love still reaches. You may try to silence me, drown me out, or hide behind distractions, but you can never stop me from calling. My voice will echo through every circumstance, every memory, every moment until you finally answer. That is not desperation, it is devotion. That is who I am, the God who refuses to give up on his own. So when you hear that familiar tug again, that soft stirring within, don't ignore it. That's me redialing. And this time, when you answer, I will say what I have always said, from the beginning and forever. Welcome home, my beloved. I never stopped calling. Faith is the receiver through which you hear me clearly, and yet so many times you stare at it in silence, afraid to lift it, afraid to believe again. You've been disappointed before. You've prayed and waited and felt the ache of what seemed like unanswered calls. And so you let the line sit still, convinced that maybe I am speaking to others, but not to you. But, my child, faith is not a fragile thing. It is not a trick of emotion, nor a desperate wish cast into the dark. Faith is the simple, steady act of saying, I believe you are here, even when I can't feel you. Every time you choose to trust me, when your circumstances mock your hope, when your prayers seem to echo into emptiness, you are in that moment picking up the receiver of faith. You are saying yes to connection again. You are answering my call. You think faith requires the absence of doubt, but that is not true. Faith exists precisely because doubt is near. It's the decision to believe in my love despite the questions that crowd your mind. Each time you lift your heart and say, still, I will trust you, the signal between us grows clearer. I speak not only in miracles but in the courage that rises inside you when you choose to keep believing. When you choose faith, you turn the static of fear into the melody of grace. You begin to hear me in places you thought were silent, in tears that heal, in burdens that somehow lighten, in peace that arrives when nothing has changed. Faith opens the frequency where my presence flows freely. It connects your weakness to my strength, your uncertainty to my certainty, your humanity to my divinity. So lift the receiver again. Let faith be your yes to my call. Don't wait for perfect understanding to pick it up. Understanding will come after you do. Faith is not about knowing how everything will work out. It's about knowing that I am with you even when nothing makes sense. I am the one on the other end of the line, steady and patient, speaking life into your spirit. When you answer by faith, you'll find that the distance disappears. The same God who seemed silent now becomes near, speaking peace into every trembling place inside you. My voice has always been there, waiting, not for your perfection, but for your faith. You speak to me often, but do you ever pause to listen? Prayer was never meant to be a monologue. It was always meant to be a dialogue, a rhythm between your heart and mine. I delight when you speak to me, when you pour out your tears, your thanks, your fears, and your desires. But I long for the moments after the words, when you grow still and let me respond. Too often, you rush through prayer as though I am a distant monarch rather than a father eager to speak. Yet I am here, always ready to answer, not always with words but with presence. Sometimes I respond in peace that replaces your anxiety. Sometimes in conviction that redirects your steps. Sometimes in stillness that strengthens your faith. But I always respond. You wonder, how can I know when it's you? My reply often sounds different than what you expect. I speak through Scripture, the verses that seem to leap from the page as though they were written for this very day. I speak through people, through a friend's kindness, through a stranger's encouragement, through the voice of another who unknowingly says exactly what your heart needed. I speak through creation, the sunrise that whispers hope, the night sky that reminds you of eternity. And I speak within you, through the quiet pull toward truth and goodness, through the conviction that says, this is the way, walk in it. The more you listen, the more you will recognize my tone, for I speak in love, never fear, and hope, never despair. Child, prayer is not a performance. It is not a task to be checked off or a speech to impress me. It is communion, the joining of our hearts. It is where you bring your chaos, and I bring my calm. It is where your weakness meets my strength. When you learn to linger, to listen as much as you speak, you will discover that my voice is constant. You'll begin to notice that the conversation never really ends. Even when you rise from prayer and step into your day, I walk with you, still speaking through moments and memories. Keep the conversation alive, and you will never again feel alone in this world. There is one who seeks to interrupt our connection. He cannot cut the line between us, but he fills it with static, whispers of lies, distortions of truth, and echoes of fear. You have felt it before. Those moments when you begin to doubt my goodness, when shame tells you that you've gone too far, when fear insists that I've forgotten you. That interference is not from me. It is the enemy's attempt to disguise my voice, to replace grace with guilt and peace with panic. He knows he cannot silence my call, so he tries to confuse your hearing. But I have given you discernment, the Spirit within you, to help you separate the noise from the truth. My child, if what you hear leads you to despair, it is not me. If it drives you away in fear rather than drawing you near in love, it is not me. The enemy's static often comes clothed in familiarity. It can sound like your own thoughts, replaying your failures, amplifying your insecurities. But I tell you now, those echoes are lies. My voice never reminds you of who you were. It declares who you are becoming. I do not accuse, I redeem. When you hear you're not enough, know that it is the static of the enemy. When you hear you will never change, know that it is distortion. My words sound different. They bring light into dark corners, hope into hopeless hearts. My words cleanse, comfort, and correct without crushing. So how do you clear the static? Draw nearer to me. Worship cuts through the interference. Gratitude resets the frequency. My word is the clearest channel, sharper than any lie that tries to cloud your mind. When you rest in me, the static fades, and you begin to recognize again the sound of your Father's voice, calm, constant, compassionate. The enemy's noise is temporary, but my voice is eternal. So, tune your heart to truth, my beloved. Stay close, and let my love drown out every distortion. For as long as you keep listening, the enemy can never win. My voice will always break through. You keep waiting for a thunderclap, for a miracle, for some grand sign to prove that I am near. But, my beloved, I am not only found in the extraordinary, I dwell in the ordinary moments that you so often overlook. When you wake and light pours through your window, that is my glory brushing your face. When laughter fills your home, that is my joy resonating through your walls. When the wind moves through the trees, soft and steady, that is my breath still sustaining creation. I have not hidden myself in mystery to frustrate you. I have hidden myself in simplicity so that you would find me everywhere. You look for me in temples and sermons, but I walk beside you in traffic, in coffee shops, in the quiet rhythm of your daily life. Every moment you are alive is a conversation between your heart and mine, if only you will slow down enough to hear it. Do you remember the story of the prophet who looked for me in the wind, in the earthquake, in the fire? But I was not in any of them. I was in the whisper. That whisper has never ceased. It is present in the hum of your existence. Every time you pause to breathe deeply, every time you extend kindness when no one is watching, every time you feel an unexpected peace that makes no sense, that's me speaking. I am not a distant God waiting on mountaintops. I am the God who kneels in your dust. I speak through the mundane because I want you to know that holiness isn't somewhere else. It's right here, in the life you are living. You don't need perfect surroundings or perfect faith to hear me. You only need presence. So look again at your ordinary world and listen closely. You will hear me in the rhythm of footsteps, in the laughter of children, in the pulse of your own heartbeat. My voice is everywhere love is. So now that you can hear me, do not hang up. Don't confine our connection to sacred hours or special days. I did not call you just for a moment of inspiration. I called you into continual communion. My spirit longs to walk with you through every detail of your day, to share in the small decisions, the quiet thoughts, the unspoken emotions. You are never meant to step in and out of my presence. You are meant to live in it, like breathing air you cannot see yet cannot survive without. But you let the world pull your attention away. You hang up too soon. You pray, then rush back into noise before I can answer. You worship, then forget that I want to go with you into the workplace, the car, the kitchen, the chaos. I want to be in all of it. Keeping the line open doesn't mean you must speak constantly. It means your heart stays aware, tuned in, receptive. It means learning to carry me with you rather than visiting me occasionally. When you train your soul to remain connected, even silence becomes prayer, and your breathing becomes worship. The enemy will try to convince you that such closeness isn't possible, that life is too busy, faith too fragile. But I tell you, connection with me was always meant to be natural, not forced. It's not about perfect discipline. It's about constant desire. So, keep the line open. When you're weary, speak to me. When you're joyful, thank me. When you're confused, pause and listen. My presence is not a destination. It is your home. Live from that truth, and you will find that every step, every moment, every heartbeat becomes holy. One day, the calls will no longer be from heaven to earth. The veil between us will lift, and you will see me face to face. Until then, know that our connection is eternal. It cannot be severed by time, distance, or death. You may lose people you love, you may walk through shadows that frighten you, but my voice will always find you. What you experience now through faith, you will one day experience through sight. Every whisper, every answered prayer, every unseen comfort has been leading you toward that day when all will be clear. You were never made merely to survive this life. You were made to dwell forever in the fullness of my love. Every conversation we have here on earth is a rehearsal for the eternal dialogue that will never end. And when that moment comes, when your journey through this world is done, you will hear me say what your heart has longed to hear all your life. Welcome home. I was with you the whole time. The static will cease. The distance will disappear. And you will finally understand that I was never far, never silent, never gone. For even now, as you sit reading these words, eternity is already unfolding inside you. My spirit dwells within, a signal that can never be lost. So stay connected, my beloved. Keep your heart open, your faith alive, your ears attuned. The line between us will never close, for I am the God who calls, the God who listens, and the God who loves you without end. Amen.